बेटा अंशिका है क्या? ये जो हमारा है ये उसका WhatsApp पे लगा है। हाँ, एक बार यहाँ उसका नंबर बता देना।
afternoon, everyone. Online delegates, am I audible to all of you? Please respond in the chat box. And she also. Okay. So let us start. Let us start with the conference technical session 2. A very warm welcome to all of you to the 2 days international conference, beautifully named Financial Carnival, where we will be discussing about the post-COVID challenges and opportunities occurring in the different financial sector. Coming to the technical session 2, here we will be talking mainly about the post-COVID challenges occurring in the financial markets and financial instruments. As we all know that financial markets serve as a place where surplus funds are directed to the deficit area. It plays a very great role in developing the economic growth of any particular country. And since we'll be focusing on the post-COVID challenges and opportunities regarding the financial market, we all have witnessed coronavirus since March 2020, and the challenges faced by financial market is very different from the challenges which were faced in the previous financial crisis. It is very different, and we need to do the proper assessment of this challenge, because post-COVID जो बाकी के challenges रहे हैं 2009 में लैंड क्रैश या उससे पहले के जो भी challenges रहे हैं, that was because of some institutions and all. But ये challenge has been little different because this has because of certain virus, and this lead to the closure of many business, and that is why we need to address this problem in a very sober and very intellectual manner, and we are going to discuss about this issue in today's session, technical session 2. We have eminent speakers with us, Dr. Claire Walsh, Mr. Gagan Badwa, Dr. Jeevan Chaudhary. Sir, good afternoon. Sir is from Lindyas University, Delhi, and currently he is also working as an assistant professor in National PU College. Guest faculty. Apart from that, we have C.A. Dhruv Seth with us. Dhruv Seth sir is practicing as a senior partner in Seth and Associates from the last 17 years, and with distinguished credentials. He has also qualified DISA and also successfully completed the Forensic and Fraud Detection course by the issue of Chartered Accountants of India. He has a vast exposure to various taxation laws, and he has done best audit practices in the last 17 years. He acts as an internal and statutory auditor to many of the large corporates in the region. He is also a regular faculty at the Direct Tax Training Institute. He also served as the president of LUCKNOW Chartered Accountants Society in 2017 and chairman of CII while LUCKNOW chapter in 2019 and 2019 से लेकर 2021. We also have with us Dr. D.K. Srivastava, assistant professor from Vidyan College. सर से अभी मैंने सर ने यही बताया, तो सॉरी सर, associate professor from Vidyan College, and Professor Dr. P.K. Shukla with us. Now let us start with the presentation of the memento one by one. I would like to ask Dr. Puneet Kanodia to welcome Dr. Jeevan Chaudhary by presenting memento and Jan. Dr. Jeevan Chaudhary has worked in Lindyas University, Delhi as a professor, head of the department in Commerce and Management Studies. Also is associated with Lindyas Lalita Devi Institute of Management Studies, New Delhi, He is also looking after the Lingyas Vidyapeeth ODL program Delhi NCR as a director and associating with the research work in the universities as well. Welcome, sir. Now I would like to ask Puneet sir to welcome Dr. K.K. Shukla sir with the presenting memento and saplings. So in this sequence, please welcome Dr. D.K. Srivastava sir as well. D.K. Srivastava sir. Srivastava sir and Bhuseth sir. Okay, I would like to start with the session by inviting Dr. Claire Walsh. He is Head of Education at Institute of Analytics, and he has a role that combines her two passions in work. Before moving to Institute of Analytics, Dr. Claire worked as a teacher and has authored over 20 successful textbooks, including several global market leaders. She is also an expert in assessment and has advised high-stakes testing organizations and governments on assessment design. After becoming interested in the emerging field of learning analytics and artificial intelligence code testing, she retained in the field of computer science. She completed an MSc in web science and then a PhD in web science, looking at scoring complex skills through telemetry, gameplay data with University of Southampton. In her studies, she was co-supervised and assessed by both the departments of electronics and computer science and education, reflecting the complex interdisciplinary nature of modern data analytics. In her role, she intends to work to help others to become fully data literate. Welcome, Dr. Claire Walsh. Ma'am, you are not audible to wait for 2 minutes. Ma'am, now you can start.
Ask her to wait, otherwise she will continue. Audio shooter.
Ma'am, excuse me, ma'am. Dr. Claire, ma'am. Ma'am, please wait for 2 minutes. We are facing some audio issues. We cannot hear you. क्या आवाज Ma'am, you are not audible. Can you be please bit louder? Excuse me, ma'am. Dr. Walsh, ma'am. Can you wait for 5 minutes? We can check with some other person.
Chat box में देखो, chat box में देखो, you can write in the chat box.
Ma'am, please wait for 5 minutes. We can talk. We are checking with some other panelists, and then we'll make sure what is the issue. Okay. Mr. Gagan Wadhwa ji, can you hear me? Wadhwa ji, Mr. Gagan Bhartaji, can you hear us? Gagan sir, please unmute yourself and let us know whether we are audible to you.
Hello. Please wait for a couple of minutes. We are just fixing the issue on the laptop. Thank you, Randy. आपको आवाज आ रही है गगन जी? अच्छा आपको आ रही है, बट आपकी आवाज यहाँ पर बहुत कम स्लो आ रही है और we are just fixing it. Just wait. You can please start your address regularly. We are here. You are audible now. Thank you.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, thank you very much for giving me a opportunity to address this session. I'm Gagan Bharta. I'm working with Securities and Exchange Board of India, Lucknow local office. I'll be giving a small address relating to securities market. Basically, market is providing an opportunity for issuers and investors to invest, and the security market basically first I'll like to have give a background of basically savings, what are savings and how these savings are helpful in the investment. Saving is basically just a parking of cash for safe and liquid, and investment is making your saving work for your returns. So basically, securities market providing an opportunity for the investors who have savings to allocate their savings for investment in the economy. And this transfer of funds from investor to companies, these are the basically securities market help in the transfer of funds from the investor to companies. These funds are transferred to the companies who are in needs of funds for productive purpose, and in return they get the benefit like interest, dividend and capital. Basically, securities market provide an opportunity for the savers to save their money and give that money to companies for investment in for capital formations. Basically, before these savings and investment which are invested in the security market, there was no regulator, and when this regulator SEBI came into existence in 1998, and they got the power to Act of Parliament in 1992. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Yes, sir. You are.
Before SEBI came into existence, I will give a big background. What is basically a SEBI? SEBI is a financial market regulator. It regulates the financial market. Like we have other regulator, like we have RBI regulating the banking sector, we have insurance sector regulator, IRD and pension fund regulator. Similarly, securities market regulate the securities market independently, so all the entities who are dealing in the securities market. Before SEBI came into existence, there was confusion, disorder, there was no hue and cry, and there was no regulation in the securities market. So basically, after SEBI came into existence, then only all the investment and this securities market, basically all the entities were regulated, and they have investors can invest properly through investment through securities market. Basically, there are various players in the securities market. We have stock exchange, stock brokers, asset management companies, merchandisers. Now, basically, there are mandates of SEBI. Hello.
Yes, sir. You are audible.
Yeah. Basically, there are SEBI has three objectives. The objective of SEBI is to develop the securities market, protect the interests of the investors, and to regulate this securities market. This mandate, this SEBI got this power to have these objectives. Through this, SEBI got the power of legislative power. SEBI has legislative power, judicial power, and executive powers. Now, basically, I already told you that the issuers and the investors who want to invest their saving, they can invest in the securities market, and this transfer of the funds goes to companies who are in the need. Now there are various participants in the securities market like various I already told you that if a person wants to invest in the security market, they can invest in the share, they can invest in the debentures, then there are mutual funds. Basically, to invest in the security market, the investor has to do due diligence. They have to ensure that the company in which they are investing, they should have the basic knowledge of that companies. So basically, SEBI helps the investors in investing in the security market. Issue 3B deals with the issuance of shares, units and other security trading and transfer of shares, dividend. Basically, major functions of the security SEBI is to regulate the registration of market participant and regulate the issuance of shares and regulate and protect the interest of the investors. So, hello. Hello.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, you are.
So we know that various products are there like shares, debentures, then we have mutual funds. So this mutual fund basically for a layman person or a first time investor who want to invest in the security market, they can invest through mutual fund. Basically mutual funds are just provide an opportunity to the investors who are new to the in the security market, who have no knowledge and they don't want to do their cannot do their due diligence. They can invest through mutual fund. Mutual funds basically provides an opportunity to the investor to invest in the security market by collecting the money from the investor and then pulling the money of the investor in the security market. So mutual fund basically provides an opportunity to investors to pool the funds from the small investor and then diversify and invest in the various securities on the security market. Now basically mutual fund is basically a person who wants to invest first time, they should basically invest through mutual fund. Now, one more important thing I want to say that SEBI is when it was started, the investor they should if they have any grievances, so they can raise their grievance or complaint. Platform has been provided by SEBI LUCKNOW, where they can raise their complaint and they can, if there are any complaints against registered intermediaries or security market, they can file their complaint there. So basically, I want to say that a person they want to invest in the security market, they should invest through the registered intermediary. They should do only through the registered intermediaries, and they should invest only through listed entities, and they should only should not go away by saying that they should go away with that they will become in this lakpati, crorepati in one day. They should do all the basically they should deal with the registered intermediaries. With this, I will end my presentation words and thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Vadma. Now I would like to invite Dr. Claire Walsh again. Ma'am, am I audible to you? Dr. Claire Walsh, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Can you hear me?
Now you are audible.
Fantastic news. Just 1 second. I was just trying to get connected on a different laptop, so I've lost my presentation. Give me 1 second and I'll get it back. So, yeah, thank you so much for welcoming me to your meeting, friends. I'm very, very honoured. And I am Dr. Claire Walsh, I'm the head of education at the Institute of Analytics. And you may be wondering, why why you have an analytics person at a finance conference. And I hope today I will be able to persuade you that our fields actually are crossing very much. If you could just give me 1 second to share my slides. There we go. Right. There we go. Right. Okay, that's working. Okay. So I was very lucky to be trained say. And I think they are very good people to predict where we might be going in the future. When we think of where we are today in 2022, we are in a post-pandemic recovery period, and it's not going to be an easy time. A lot of people have left the workforce early. They've either been, they were ill themselves, they perhaps have long-term illnesses and can't work anymore, or they've chosen to retire early because the whole experience was just so negative. We already have new challenges in the UK. We have a rise in wages, and it's very difficult to find employees already. And I think that this creates new opportunities for machine-driven solutions, more analytics, more automation. And I think we are at a tipping point for data analytics. I think things are going to change. It's not just the post-pandemic recovery that we're facing at the moment. We have all sorts of other issues. An obvious urgent one is climate change. And I was very excited to see that out of the meeting at the end of last year, two of the big commitments were the emerging climate technology work and breakthrough energy EU data set. And both of these are multi-billion-dollar, large-scale commercial demonstration projects of the power of data to be able to transform the worst problems that we are facing at the moment. So, let's just think about how this relates to what it can bring to finance and what it means if you work in finance. We have been here before. Digital literacy. We all had to become digitally literate in the 1990s because we had to communicate still, and communications went online. We had to learn how to use websites, emails, how to use conferences, which haven't been working so far this morning, but it is now. And we know that technically skilled staff began the process, but the rest of us had to follow. And I do believe that wherever you are today, however data literate you are, over the 2020s, you are going to have to do this. And the sooner you do, the better. Let me explain why. Most of us, I think, these days are aware of artificial intelligence being used in the world around us. We understand that it's helping us to make better decisions about which routes to take, who to be friends with, which emails to trust. We need to become more knowledgeable. We need to actually understand the algorithms, understand how they work, what they can do for us, what they can't do for us. And hopefully many of you will also become practitioners. If you work in finance, you're probably good with numbers, and I hope that you would be willing to get your hands on some of these algorithms. They're not that difficult. When I talk about computer programming, I'm talking about writing 5 or 6 lines of code, not 1,000-line documents. And we'll leave the AI researchers to do the really difficult stuff, but we can have a go with very limited computer skills. Just like with digital literacy, it took us a long time, about 20 years, to realise digital literacy wasn't just about using software. There were a whole load of skills behind it. This image comes from, I think it was 2016, quite late, where people had realised it's all about how we communicate, how we manage information, what do we trust, what steps do we take to protect us. And it's the same thing with data literacy, and I hope as you look at this list of skills you'll realise, actually, as a finance person, I'm good at this already. Legislation and ethics, numerical reasoning, data collection, thinking it up, processing it, getting it ready. Then comes the technical proficiency. That may be an area you're less confident in, but then we're straight back from information management, again, something you're strong in, and a data duty of care. We have responsibilities to our customers to build trust, to build reputation. And so I hope when you look at this framework of data literacy, you see actually you're already there. There's very much place for you waiting to develop things that matter like trust, reputation, planning next steps, professional competence, all those kinds of things. And we can apply these skills in a full spectrum of work areas and academic if that's your interest. Obviously, a lot of the people I've worked with are interested in making money, and that's the number one concern. But then, I've also worked with teams that have been looking at how do we improve people are dying by looking at online forums where people discuss these things. So we can apply this to many, many areas to improve the quality of life of people around us. So when I start talking about AI, what am I talking about? What do I mean? I think there are some myths, there are some false ideas around AI that it's good to get rid of from the beginning. The first one is that we want to replace you all. We do not. There was a dream at the very beginning of a general artificial intelligence, like a human robot companion that would have all-round intelligence like a person. It was a rule-based approach to AI, so we would come up with the rules and the machine would follow them the same way the human does. And it gives the human control, who's coding it, strong control, but it was incredibly difficult to scale as soon as the scenario gets even a little bit complex. And when I say a little bit complex, I mean more than a pizza takeaway shop complexity, not financial markets. It becomes very problematic. It's been replaced since around about 2016 with what we call narrow artificial intelligence. Narrow artificial intelligence is statistically based, and we're back in your comfort zone. It's looking at what can I reasonably assume rather than rules. What do I understand? And it can solve some problems that are very well suited to mathematical processing. And in finance, lots of your problems are incredibly well suited. And it scales really well. You can use it with very complex scenarios like building a chatbot. It does, however, give you poor control. That's a problem. Let's look at why we have poor control. When we think about traditional maths, the way you learn it, you will have the input variables like a 4 and a 6, and you will have you tell the machine what you want it to do, the function, the plus, and the machine will give you the result. When we look at machine learning, it's flipped around. We will show the machine the input variable still from the 6. We will give it an example of what we think success looks like, the number 10. And it's up to the machine to work out what mathematical function, which variables it needs to look at to get it to that same number. And obviously my example here is incredibly simple, but sometimes we're showing the machine a photograph of an animal, and it's got to work out whether to look at the animal, what to look at to get that reproduction of this is a giraffe or this is an elephant. And so all machine learning comes down to this basic mathematical formula. Y, whatever it is we want the machine to tell us, is a function of the data X. This affects many of the things that we can and can't do with it. So myth number 2 is that our machines are super smart and sometimes they are incredible. This is a photograph of a chamber that we have in the University of Southampton that's used to train a very specific AI. In 2018 actually, there was a murder carried out, unfortunately, in the city of Melbourne, and the person who committed the murder came in to the shop tonight, committed the murder, left. The police looked at the CCTV footage from earlier that day, and this machine that had been trained in our gate recognition chamber in Southampton was able to match one of the people who came into that shop earlier that morning with the same way of walking, the same gait as the person who came in later with their face covered and committed the murder. And once their face was uncovered, the police recognized the man immediately. He was arrested and confessed to the crime. What a phenomenal application AI. But sometimes they aren't. Sometimes they're really not that smart. One of the very earliest applications, again in 2016, we were looking at photograph recognition, and we had wolf and dog recognition. This is difficult for a machine to do. It can't look at the dots in the picture, because if you can imagine my face now, and if I turn it to the side, not one of the dots is going to be the same. And so it is quite a challenging task for machines. It has to look at lines, things like that. This machine was incredibly accurate, and we were so excited that a machine could be this smart that it could recognize the difference between these two animals. What an amazing thing. What we realized realised was that in fact the machine was not looking at the animal at all. It had found a proxy variable in the photographs that was a pretty good predictor of what the animal was. If it had a background of green grass, it was almost certainly a dog, a pet dog playing in the garden. If it had a white background with snow, it was almost always a wolf, because that's where those animals live. And so what we thought the machine was doing, looking at the animal, in fact, was not what it was doing at all. It had found a much easier pathway to get a similar but less accurate result. And so we have to be careful with what our machines are doing for us. Sometimes they're incredible, sometimes they're not. We need a human in the loop. We're looking at an AI plus X model, X being often a human-centric way of using these machines. Myth number 3, we'll just wait and learn new software. I know this is what you want me to tell you is going to happen. I'm sorry, I don't think it is. If you think about when Excel launched in 1987, it was, I think, a lot of us didn't even pay attention. We were interested in getting Word, and Excel came packaged in with that when we bought my office. Over the 1990s, we learned how to use it. It was fantastic. It was perfect. The downloadable table data, which was very popular at that time. But already by the 2000s, it was becoming a problem because Excel will not work with new data types. And in the after 2002, we had a technical change that allowed the explosion of social media. And we had images, videos, voice recognition. We had free writing. All sorts of data. 70% of the world's data is in a format that you cannot possibly analyze in Excel. And that's already a problem. More than that though, when we look at environments like Python and R, where we're preparing a lot of our algorithms, and they're not that difficult. They're not very difficult algorithms to use. The coding is about, not too many lines. They are open source environments. What open source means is that instead of being one team in the Microsoft building that's developing the technology, thousands and thousands and thousands of incredibly intelligent, gifted, talented mathematicians, computer programmers are spending their weekends developing these incredible algorithms for us. Cutting-edge research teams are developing them, and the pace of growth is just so accelerated. If you insist on waiting for the software, you are always going to be behind. Open source environments are an incredibly innovative area, and this is why I do think we need to start embracing the idea maybe we can code, maybe we can write about 10 lines of code and do this. And by definition, BI, I love them, they're incredibly good for exploring data, but at the end of the day, if you stick to BI, you tend to be a person who doesn't actually have the real training in things like verifying the processes for accuracy, ensuring data consistency, making sure you understand the output, so that you can tell the difference between our fantastically intelligent and fantastically stupid algorithms, because we have both. Myth number 4, we have a magic crystal ball to see into the future. We don't. Unfortunately, there will be events that come up in the post-pandemic recovery period in particular that will surprise us. We have stopped talking about big data for the very big reason that a lot of the data that we have is no longer useful. We've moved away from big data. We're talking about small data sets, particularly graph data that models relationships, because everything has changed post-pandemic. Everything is different, and the data that we had collected from social media is no longer as helpful for dealing with this new world. But we can give people a competitive advantage, very often, particularly in finance, a competitive advantage is enough. One of the things we do very well is something called subway uncertainty. So let's say that I travel into the office from my home for the Institute of Analytics every day, and I record how much time it takes me each day on my train. And some days I'm brilliant at the peak, sometimes it takes me about 36 minutes. And other days it's a bit of a bad journey and it takes me almost an hour. And because I'm a statistician, I'm going to keep very careful records every day I travel and then distribute these times over a normal curve, and you can working with us, please do get in touch with us. Let me find our email. There's our email. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am. Now we have CA Group Sage among us, and as already introduced, he is a senior partner in Sage and Associates, and is practicing chartered accountant from last 17 years with distinguished credentials. So,
Hi, afternoon everybody. Are you awake or you wish to be awake? What is my topic, by the way? Are you guys aware about it? What am I supposed to speak on? No. Okay. How many of you have heard about cryptocurrencies? How many of you have heard about it?
Just heard about it.
How many of you have indulged into it? No, bought it, traded it, or did anything with it? No. How many of you understand or at least heard the words blockchain? How many understand what it is? Understand what it is? Little bit. Cool. So, how much time do I have now? 5 minutes? 7 minutes? Accordingly, I have to structure the entire content. How much time? I can take my time, it will take a lot of time then. So, I'll stick to 10 minutes probably, that's easiest. So, the concept of blockchain is very important to understand if we have to understand anything about her. Would you give it to her? Give her some sum of money, or ma'am wants some sum of money, would you give it to her? Would you give it to her? No. Why? Because you don't know her. Cool. So now I am a bank. You know me. State Bank of India. So you come, you deposit your money with me, and I give it to her. So it is going to her. Or is it going to somebody else? It is going to her, it is going through me. So this is what trust economy is. And that is what banks do. Financial institutions in the country, they do only this. They leverage trust. Because there is a mistrust between people, that is why they leverage that, they fill that gap which exists in the economy. And that is how the economy functions. So if the banks collapse, why do they say the banks will collapse, the businesses will collapse? Because the trust lacks. So it operates on trust economy, A. B, it operates on, how many of you, all of you are commerce students, I'm pretty sure. You have heard of single entry system of accounting? Are you sure? Very good. Have you heard of double accounting entry systems? Very sure. What is the debit? What is the credit? Credit is what comes in, debit is what goes out.
No, sir. Debit is what comes in and credit is what
To credit all the assets and debit all the liabilities. No, I'm saying the right thing. I'm a chartered accountant, believe me, I'm saying the right thing.
Credit is what comes in.
Credit is what comes in? Successfully I've been able to confuse you, that's my whole agenda. So, you know what is a double entry accounting system? Cool. So now we are migrating, sorry to say you for students, we are migrating to triple accounting system. So triple accounting system, what happens is in double accounting system there are two sets of books which are made. One is by the recipient, one is the one who's giving. So if you are depositing your money with me, for you that is an asset, for me that is a liability. Agreed? Now we'll go to a triple accounting system where there is a third party which is doing that transaction as well. So in your accounting framework where you deposit the money in the bank, there are three sets of books being made. One is in your books of accounts that you gave the money. In the bank's books of accounts that they receive the money. Then there is a debit in the bank's books of accounts which goes to that person of the money. That person provides a credit in his books of accounts. So there are three books which are being made. Now imagine there are 10,000 crore books being made across the world. That is called decentralized ledger. You have ledgers, you have seen ledgers. You draw those lines and then you put a debit and a credit, a particular and an amount, and then you put do, to, buy, whatever that stuff usual is which you don't use ever in your life again. But that is how a ledger is made. So this ledger gets made pan-world. Everybody in the world has this own ledger being made. And if I have to do a transaction with her, if I have to pay her money, that transaction gets recorded in all the computers across the world in encrypted manner. So of course they will not see that who has given the money, but they will see what is the money that has been given. They will not be able to see who has given to whom. So that's what blockchain predominantly works, and why it's a combination of two words. One is block, one is chain. So block is each transaction, and when you link one transaction with another transaction, it becomes a chain. So block, chain. That is how it gets linked. So blockchain is the basic on which cryptocurrencies work and how they leverage. So in the whole point of cryptocurrencies, any one of you aware why cryptocurrencies were even made in the first place? Any clue? No? Very good. 2008, there was a major financial crisis which happened, in which a couple of the biggest banks, investment banks in the world collapsed overnight. It was a shocker for a lot of people because your assets, your hard-earned money is kept there and suddenly they vanish because they put in the money somewhere else which it shouldn't have gone. So this guy by the name of Satoshi Nakamoto created a white paper in February 2009. It's a masterpiece of white paper if you are interested in learning more. 11-12 pages only, but it has Satoshi Nakamoto, February 2009 white paper. It's a masterpiece white paper on economics, money management, finance, coding, computers. So it's incomparable that one person can create such a white paper. He created that white paper and he said that we don't need financial institutions between us. People can transact between each other without the need of banks by making the entire world as a ledger. So the concept of decentralized ledger, it comes from there. So any transaction I do with you gets recorded across the world. So the bank is not needed to create that trust. Naturally, this will have a lot of ripple effect with the central banks and the governments because suddenly they find that we do not have this authority anymore now. But there's somebody else who's controlling and doing the transactions. So they feel afraid of that fact that we lose a transaction. So they feel afraid of that fact that we lose control. So they want to curb this whole cryptocurrency world which happens. So the first step, the first thing is about why do we need cryptocurrencies? That's not the point. The point is how do we play that? How do we leverage that? So unfortunately, a lot of teenagers at your age have indulged. While I use the word indulged, I did use the word investment. Indulged for this sake because it has become a money spinner kind of a thing. It has become sort of, what do you say that? A nasha, which you call in Hindi. A marijuana for people. They are working 7 days, 365 days, 24 hours it functions, it doesn't stop. So people got accustomed and attuned to, they want to make money every second, every hour. And that is where the gambling has started. So once you start investment, it's a great platform. So even RBI acknowledges it. So RBI has simply come out with, I don't know if you follow RBI or not, but CBDC, if you guys would have heard of. Anyone heard CBDC? Central Bank Digital Currency. What does it work on? It works on blockchain. So now what RBI is proposing and can be very incrementally transforming India is that you and I might bank with the Reserve Bank of India. We will have our own bank account with the Reserve Bank of India. We will not have a bank account with HDFC or SBI. So we will have a transaction with RBI and somebody else will have a transaction with RBI through CBDCs. So I will say CBDCs are technically not cryptocurrencies. They take a lot of things out of cryptocurrency and how they function. They are not cryptocurrencies. The whole agenda of cryptocurrencies is that nobody can control that. The moment there is a controlling person on cryptocurrencies, it is not a cryptocurrency, it is just a currency. So CBDC derives its power from the rupee. So what is the value of the rupee? The value of the CBDC. Unlike Bitcoin and Ethereum, they do not derive value from anything. They derive value from... You guys invest in gold, you like gold? You like diamonds? You would want some? Why? Why?
Prestige.
Prestige. Where did that prestige come from? Why safe? Who said that? Who said that? Have you seen the data? Since 1981 till 2022, gold has not given a single penny of return in dollar adjusted value. Zero. Where did that trust come from? So it's a societal construct.
I think it's the Indian mentality we are.
It's a society construct. There is nothing, diamond especially doesn't have any value because diamond is made in the labs now. And you can't really distinguish between a diamond which is made in the lab and the diamond which is made actually, which is originating. So it is a social construct. It's a marketing jargon which happened in 1970s, 70 to 80 when De Beers started with that concept of diamond is forever. And they associated that tagline only with those occasions which happen only once or twice in your life. They didn't do it on an everyday affair. Only when you're getting married, only when you're getting engaged. Now people get married 5 times maybe, but yeah, only when you're getting married in those days, or maybe you're proposing to somebody. That is only when you use a diamond, otherwise you don't. Or you gift it to your daughter when she is getting married. So they made it as such a aspirational and such an emotional connect that it started getting its value from the human emotions. It doesn't have any other value. Rupee, where does it get its value from? Where does the rupee get its value from? I'm just asking very basic questions. You guys are commerce students, I'm sure you would have known that. It derives its value from the signatures on that rupee, which says I promise to pay the bearer rupees 100 rupees as per blah 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 blah. It gets its value from the RBI. So 8th of November 2016, शाम को 8 बजे मित्रों हो गया था. How did that happen? Because Section 3 of the RBI Act says that they have the power to do this. They can devalue any currency they want. 91, devaluation happened. So if you had 100 bucks in your pocket that time, it became 20. Because 1/5 of the currency got eroded. This will happen. So today, Ecuador, El Salvador. You heard of El Salvador? El Salvador has adopted Bitcoin as an official currency for transaction. Why? So, sorry? Yeah, go ahead. Right? No. Simply because of inflation. So any country which has a hyperinflation in them, you guys would be knowing something about inflation. So any country which has hyperinflation in them, they will adopt Bitcoins because these coins do not have any value by anyone. They have value from the demand and supply across the world. People can across the world transact. So if I have to send money to my sister in Canada, it takes me 8 days for the money to get credited to her account and a huge transaction fee of 7 to 8%. So if I send her $1,000, $7 will be wiped off. Through Bitcoin, I can send her in 8 minutes at a fee which is 1 lakh of the entire transaction. That fast. So the speed is very quick here. The speed is what we are, the network is how it functions. There's a lot to talk about cryptocurrency. I can just go on blabbling so much that you will go into a sleep mode. I don't think I would want you to do that. My only suggestion to you all guys, the young ones who are here, do not gamble it. It's an asset class which derives its value from the demand and the supply. Like anything in the world. Anything in the world that you use derives its value from the demand and supply of the consumers. Otherwise it will not have. Zomato derives its value from you, the users. If the users are not there is no value on their platform. So everything is a function, basic economics. It's a function of demand and supply, and that is what crypto world will be. So it is relatively okay. Don't over gamble. Don't go into hunky dory that Dhruv said and said you go invest. I'll invested 2 lakhs, sold my house and invested into it. Please do not ever do that. Just do a 0.5% of your portfolio allocation. Just try for the heck of trying what is cryptocurrency. Blockchain for sure you guys need to understand because that is what the future might be. Might be, again the word is might be. I'm not going into NFT, metaverse and all the other cringe topics which are going on because that again is a topic in its own. So I just would like to sum up here very quickly in what crypto world is. Thank you for having me over. So cryptocurrency is a combination of 2 words. One is cryptographic and one is currency. So currency. Cryptographic is the cryptography which happens in making the currency. So in a computer language, digital signatures, have you heard? So digital signatures are basically cryptographic signatures. They have 256-bit encryption over those signatures. So that is how your physical signatures are converted into a digital signature. So currency which is overridden by cryptographic methods is called cryptocurrency.
Thank you very much, sir, for beautifully explaining the cryptocurrency concept of blockchain. And definitely we believe कि अगर cryptocurrency और blockchain technology सही तरीके से implement हुआ तो it will bring a lot of transparency in the entire financial sector. Now it's 3 p.m. and we are still left with 2 guests among us, Professor K.K. Shukla sir, Professor Jeevan Chaudhary sir, but it's lunch time, 3 p.m. and can we start the next session at 3:30 p.m. So all delegates, students are requested to move for lunch and again gather here at 3:30 p.m. for the next half session. Thank you. Online delegates, please join again at 3:30 p.m.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Financial literacy through financial education, through financial literacy. There is a plan of the RBI that we must open the accounts of everyone. Everyone should come under the umbrella of banking system of this country. इज इट सो? हमारा मोटिव क्या है? सबको हम बैंकिंग सेक्टर में लेके आए थ्रू माइक्रो फाइनेंस, थ्रू फैसिलिटिंग द फाइनेंशियल सेल्फ हेल्प ग्रुप्स, फाइनेंशियल नीडी पर्सन, पुअर फार्मर्स, जो गरीब है इस देश के, उन्हें किस तरह से हम बैंकिंग चैनल में लाएं? दिस इज द मोटिव ऑफ द आरबीआई। एंड आरबीआई कैसे काम करेगा? थ्रू द बैंकिंग चैनल। आरबीआई इज नॉट डायरेक्टली इन्वॉल्व विद द पब्लिक, इन द पब्लिक। यू कैन नॉट ओपन द अकाउंट इन आरबीआई। आरबीआई में ओपन कर सकता अकाउंट? नो। So through banking channel, we have to reach everyone of this country, whether they are industrialists, capitalists, politicians, or poor, small agriculturists, small farmers. हमें सबके पास पहुंचना है। This is the motive. Up to 2014, approximately 22%, you all are the commerce student, 22% of this country below the poverty line. 2014 का यही फिगर है, नीति आयोग का यही फिगर है, 22% below the poverty line. They are getting only one time meal. केवल एक टाइम खाना खा के सोते हैं। किस तरह से उन्हें फाइनेंशियल इंक्लूजन में लाया जाए? रिजर्व बैंक इज थिंकिंग अबाउट, एंड रिजर्व बैंक आर प्लानिंग टू डू द बेस्ट थिंग थ्रू द बैंकिंग चैनल, बिकॉज रिजर्व बैंक इज द रेगुलेटर ऑफ द बैंकिंग सेक्टर. SEBI is the regulator of the market, and IRDA is the regulator of the insurance company. तो रिजर्व बैंक को देखना है कि पब्लिक का इंटरेस्ट, कस्टमर का इंटरेस्ट, रिजर्व बैंक इज डूइंग, रिजर्व बैंक इज वर्किंग एज अ वॉच डॉग, रिजर्व बैंक इज वर्किंग एज अ वॉच डॉग. रिजर्व बैंक के निगाह में एंटायर बैंकिंग सिस्टम है इस कंट्री का. One governor, you know, Dr. Subbarao, नाम सुना है तो बोलो. Dr. Subbarao का नाम सुना? Dr. Subbarao. He was the governor of the RBI. According to his version, he deliberated at that time when he was governor कि आरबीआई शुड नॉट बी अ डार्क कंपार्टमेंट, डार्क रूम. आरबीआई शुड नॉट बी अ डार्क रूम. देयर शुड बी अ ट्रांसपेरेंसी. ट्रांसपेरेंसी होना चाहिए, पब्लिक को पता होना चाहिए. पब्लिक नोज एवरीथिंग व्हाट दे आर डूइंग इन द आरबीआई, व्हाट रीजनल डायरेक्टर और जनरल मैनेजर of the RBI or staff are doing in the RBI. तो बैठ के क्या करते हैं? Public should know. There should be a transparency. Economic reform सुना होगा तुम लोगों ने? 1991 there was a crisis in the economic crisis. 2008, 89, 88, 89, 90, there was a crisis, global crisis. Investment bank all over world, कई investment bank all over world फेल हो गए. तो 1991 में we have adopted, Dr. Manmohan Singh was adopted. At that time, Dr. Manmohan Singh was the finance minister. You know that Dr. Manmohan Singh was the governor of the Reserve Bank of India. You know. तुम लोग को पता होगा कि he was the governor of the Reserve Bank of India. At that time, he was the finance minister. Economic reform का जो मोटिव है डॉक्टर मनमोहन सिंह लेके आए, because there was a crisis. We have only foreign exchange for only 1 week, only 7 days. We have the foreign exchange at that time. We have adopted the economic reform, liberalization, diluting the registration policy. At that time, we had welcomed FDI. Earlier, we opposed FDI. तुम लोग को पता होगा, हम लोग जितने पॉलिटिशियन थे, जितने पार्टीज थे, सब अपोज करते थे। FDI को नहीं लाना है ना कंट्री में। But in 1991, we had welcomed the FDI, foreign banks, and deregulation, diluting the registration policy. If you want to open the cottage industry, एक छोटी सी कॉटेज इंडस्ट्री भी ओपन करना हो तो तुम्हें उसके लिए रजिस्ट्रेशन चाहिए, तो उसे हम लोगों ने डाइल्यूट किया, रिजर्व बैंक ने डाइल्यूट किया. But it cannot be possible without the computerization, without the mechanization, without the automation. If there is a need to reach the large portion of this country, we must adopt the automation. We must adopt the computerization and mechanization. We must adopt the net banking, NEFT, RTGS, SWIFT, मोबाइल बैंकिंग. तभी तो हम बैंकिंग फैसिलिटेटर, बैंकिंग करेस्पॉन्डेंट, थ्रू बैंकिंग करेस्पॉन्डेंट, थ्रू बैंकिंग फैसिलिटेटर, वी कैन रीच टू द पुअर ऑफ दिस कंट्री, पुअर फार्मर्स ऑफ दिस कंट्री. फैसिलिटेटर का एंड करेस्पॉन्डेंट का बहुत वैल्यू है. तो one Mr. Dr. Rangarajan, you know Rangarajan, the name सुना? He was also the governor of Reserve Bank of India. Before that, he was deputy governor of Reserve Bank of India, and there was two committees. 1984, Rangarajan committee for the automation. Government of India had deputed him at that time. Government of India had deputed him. There was a committee, Rangarajan committee, 1984, 1983, 1984, and second committee, he was the chairperson of that committee also in 1988. According to him, there should be mechanization, computerization, and automation in this country, in the banking system. Before 81, 82, we opposed, trade union opposed the computerization and mechanization in the banking sector, in the insurance company. Trade union opposed करती थी. So there was a settlement in 1982, 83. There was a settlement with the unions and IBA. IBA means Indian Banks Association. There was a settlement. At that time, employees, officers got one advance increment, and there was a settlement for the automation with some limitations. No doubt, with some limitations. There was a settlement between the management, bank management body means IBA, Indian Banks Association, and 9 unions of the banking sector. तो हमने क्या किया? रंगराजन, we have adopted the Rangarajan committee in 84 and 1988. We have adopted the computerization mechanism. Now at present, post-COVID challenge and opportunity in the financial sector. One thing you know that if any small bank, whether the cooperative bank, whether the RRB, whether the lead bank, any small bank, NBFC, small NBFC, if they fail, there is a huge hue and cry all over world as well as all over the country. अगर एक छोटी सी बैंक फेल हो जाती है तो all over the country there is a disturbance. Everyone knows that this bank has failed. But big company of the Reliance company, if fail, only limited person knows. ठीक है, Reliance company थी, फेल हो गई. But अगर बैंक एक फेल जाती है, एक स्मॉल बैंक फेल जाती है, तो सबको पता चल जाता है इंडिया में. चाहे बोर्ड हो चाहे चाहे सब लाइन में क्यू में खड़े होते हैं. एटीएम के सामने खड़े होते हैं. आफ्टर विथड्रॉल रिसेंट एग्जाम्पल इज द यस बैंक में देखा तुम लोग, फेल नहीं हुआ. यस बैंक फेल नहीं हुआ. देयर वाज अ प्रेजम्पशन कि ये फेल हो जाएगी. रिजर्व बैंक इंटरवीन, इमीडिएटली रिजर्व बैंक इंटरवीन and removed all chairmen and all directors of the board of the directors. जितने chairman and director, जितने MD, सबको remove कर दिया. Chairman is in jail. Chairman के against FIR lodge हुआ, जेल में है अभी भी. And Reserve Bank deputed higher officials of the State Bank of India, ICICI Bank, Reserve Bank deputed. Reserve Bank has the power. Reserve Bank has the power to give the license to the banking sector, to the bank, for doing the banking business in our country. Under section, do you know the section? Which section? किस सेक्शन में लाइसेंस देती है? अभी सबको लाइसेंस दिया जा रहा है ना. अभी सबको जैसे आपका इंडिया पोस्ट को मिल गया लाइसेंस, रिलायंस कंपनी को मिला, बंधन बैंक को मिला, IDFC को मिला, महाराष्ट्र बेस्ड, Bandhan Bank, West Bengal based, under section 22 of the BR Act. Under section 22 of the BR Act. There is a two section. There is under section 22 of the BR Act giving the license, and 22 section of the RBI Act 1934. वो क्या करती है? Issuance of the currency. जो करेंसी इशू करती है रिजर्व बैंक की करेंसी इशू करती है. तो अंडर सेक्शन 22 एंड अंडर सेक्शन 25 जो नोट का शेप कैसा होगा, कलर कैसा होगा, डायमीटर कितना उसका मेजरमेंट होगा. अंडर सेक्शन 25 ऑफ द RBI एक्ट. देयर आर टू एक्ट्स, RBI Act 1934 and BR Act 1949. So licensing, Reserve Bank is giving the license under section 22 of the BR Act 1949. और इंस्पेक्शन किस सेक्शन में इंस्पेक्शन करती है? बीइंग अ रेगुलेटर इंस्पेक्शन तो करेगी. अंडर सेक्शन 35. अंडर सेक्शन 35 में इंस्पेक्शन करती है. बैंकों को जो इंस्पेक्शन होता है, बैंक इज डूइंग द राइट थिंग और नॉट, बैंक इज ऑब्जर्विंग द पॉलिसी रेट और नॉट, रिपो रेट, CRR, SLR ये सब मेंटेन कर रही है कि नहीं बैंक. तो रिजर्व बैंक इज द रेगुलेटर. रिजर्व बैंक इंस्पेक्शन करती है अंडर सेक्शन 35 ऑफ द BR Act. और कैंसिल भी, रिजर्व बैंक हैज द पावर टू कैंसिल द लाइसेंस आल्सो अंडर सेक्शन 35(4). अंडर सेक्शन 35 subsection 4, Reserve Bank can cancel the license also. Even Reserve Bank has the power to cancel the license of the State Bank of India. Reserve Bank has the power to remove the chairman of the State Bank of India. Reserve Bank को इतनी पावर है कि मैनेजिंग डायरेक्टर, चेयरमैन, चाहे स्टेट बैंक हो चाहे पंजाब नेशनल, किसी का भी, if banks are not interested to protect the customer, अगर उनकी पॉलिसी, बैंक की ऐसी पॉलिसी होगी तो वो प्रोटेक्ट नहीं कर पाएंगे कस्टमर को, then they can remove the chairman and entire board को replace कर सकते. Because being a regulator, regulator. Reserve Bank is the central bank of this country, and the main thing, issuance of the currency ये सब तो ठीक है, मॉनेटरी पॉलिसी अनाउंस कर दे तो ठीक है, वो सब तो करना ही है उसे, लेकिन उसे वॉच करना, जस्ट लाइक वॉच डॉग, उसकी निगाह रहती है बैंकिंग सेक्टर में कि वेदर दे आर प्रोटेक्टिंग द इंटरेस्ट ऑफ द कस्टमर और पब्लिक और नॉट. In case of the market, SEBI is the watchdog. SEBI is the regulator of the market. SEBI का काम है कि वो प्रोटेक्ट करने की कस्टमर की प्रोटेक्ट करने की नहीं, ये SEBI का काम है देखने का. IRDA का काम है कि इंश्योरेंस कंपनी प्रोटेक्ट कर रही पॉलिसी होल्डर को कि नहीं, पॉलिसी होल्डर को प्रोटेक्ट करने की नहीं, ये किसका काम है? IRDA का काम है. तो इस चीज को हमें आपको समझना है. मॉनेटरी पॉलिसी मैं ज्यादा टाइम नहीं लूंगा, ऑलरेडी कहने तो बहुत कुछ है, लेकिन टाइम ऑलरेडी हो गया ना. तुम लोग भी काफी मॉर्निंग से इन्वॉल्व इसमें. तो मैंने पीपीटी जो हमने बनाया उसमें कुछ भी मैंने डिस्कस नहीं किया, मैंने कोई भी डिस्कस करने तो कब टाइम नहीं है. लेकिन आप यू मस्ट नो द इम्पोर्टेंट. हमने इसलिए कहा कि जो जनरल पब्लिक के पास आप जाओ तो वो उनसे पूछोगे रिजर्व बैंक क्या काम करती है, वो कहेंगे रिजर्व बैंक कुछ नहीं करती पब्लिक के लिए. यही कंसेप्ट है. लेकिन रिजर्व बैंक जो आपका जीडीपी ग्रोथ है, इकोनॉमिक ग्रोथ है, फॉरेन एक्सचेंज जो कुछ है, इकोनॉमी हमारी डिपेंड कर रही है रिजर्व बैंक की पॉलिसी. अगर इकोनॉमी वर्ल्ड ओवर इकोनॉमिक क्राइसिस था, देखिए रिजर्व बैंक की पॉलिसी, रिजर्व बैंक की हमारी जो पॉलिसी है वो इतनी अच्छी पॉलिसी है कि वी कैन सर्वाइव. वी कुड सर्वाइव एट द टाइम ऑफ द इकोनॉमिक क्राइसिस ऑल्सो. हम सर्वाइव कर पाए. यस, रिजर्व बैंक हैज द ट्रेडिशनल अप्रोच, रिजर्व बैंक हैज द कन्वेंशनल अप्रोच. रिजर्व बैंक में बहुत इनोवेटिव आइडिया नहीं है, ट्रेडिशनल है, कन्वेंशनल अप्रोच है. लेकिन रिजर्व बैंक कन्वेंशनल ट्रेडिशनल अप्रोच के लेके जो चल रही है, टू कंट्रोल द इन्फ्लेशन. मेन काम क्या है? मॉनेटरी पॉलिसी जो अनाउंस करती है रिजर्व बैंक, क्या काम है? टू कंट्रोल द इन्फ्लेशन. अभी ये जो रूस है, यूक्रेन का जो क्राइसिस हो रहा है, ऑयल क्राइसिस होगा, आपका रूपी की वैल्यू क्या है इस समय? रूपी की वैल्यू डॉलर के कंपेरेटिव कितना है? मेरा 76 हो गया. तुमने देखा होगा, तो आप मोबाइल पे आप चेक कर सकते हो, 76 पॉइंट कुछ है. कैड का, CAD कैनेडियन डॉलर का क्या रेट है इस समय? 61, 62 हो गया. कहा हमने 2009 में अपने बच्चे को मैंने भेजा था कनाडा फॉर द एजुकेशन आफ्टर इंटरमीडिएट. ही वेंट टू कनाडा टू टेक द डिग्री इन द इंजीनियरिंग, बीटेक करने के लिए. उस समय कितना था? यू कैन इमेजिन, ओनली 33 रुपीज. 33 रुपीज कैनेडियन डॉलर था. रुपीज इतना स्ट्रांग था उस समय. और आज कैनेडियन डॉलर क्या? आप एक कैनेडियन डॉलर के अगेंस्ट आपको कितना पे करना है? 61, 62 रुपीज आपको पे करना है, जस्ट डबल पे. अगर आपको उस समय 5 लाख में आप बच्चे को भेजते थे, इस समय आपको 10 लाख, मोर देन 10 लाख आपको देना पड़ेगा ऑन दी 1 सेमेस्टर, सिंगल सेमेस्टर. तो रुपये की क्या वैल्यू होगा? अब अभी ये जो क्राइसिस होगा, इकोनॉमिक क्राइसिस होगा, ये जो ऑयल क्राइसिस किया है, इसके बाद क्या होगा कंट्री का? बट वी हैव फेथ, यू मस्ट फेथ, यू मस्ट ट्रस्ट on the banking sector and the Reserve Bank of India. You must trust रिजर्व बैंक काफी इसमें एनालिसिस कर रही, काफी विजिलेंट है कि प्रोटेक्ट करें, हम कंट्री के इकोनॉमिक ग्रोथ को प्रोटेक्ट करें, कस्टमर को प्रोटेक्ट करें, पब्लिक को प्रोटेक्ट करें और इकोनॉमिक क्राइसिस हमारे कंट्री में ना आए. ठीक है, तो इतना मैं ब्रीफ में मैंने डिस्कस किया. अब जो प्रेजेंटेशन स्टार्ट कर दो, बाकी जो ऑब्जर्वर लेकिन आप लोग स्टार्ट कर दो. ओके, थैंक यू. हम तो मिलते रहेंगे तुमसे, हम तो यही फैकल्टी में.
so much, sir, for pulling our attention towards RBI's initiative and telling us how important it is because RBI दो conventional mode अपनाता है, लेकिन जो है common लोगों का जो है ट्रस्ट बरकरार रखता है. As sir said कि रिलायंस का फेलियर एक एंटिटी का फेलियर होगा, लेकिन अगर बैंक फेल होती है तो पूरे कॉमन जनता का जो विश्वास है इकोनॉमी से, बैंकिंग सिस्टम से उठ जाएगा. Now moving towards the paper presentation. I would like to start with the paper presentation session and online mode में हमारे पास जो है screen share हाँ. I would like to call upon Mugdha Rilan ma'am. The topic of ma'am is digital disruption in life insurance services. Is the bubble for real?
की टेक्नोलॉजी मोबाइल जो हमारा पीपीटी है आप लोग शेयर कर सकते हैं स्टूडेंट को हम तो आज आपको डिस्कस नहीं करते.
Good afternoon. I am Mugdha Rilan. Just a little bit of introduction of mine. I am working with Tata AIA Life Insurance and handling their insurance portfolio for Citibank Lucknow. And I am also pursuing my PhD. I'm in the third year and I'm doing it from Sri Ram Swarup University, Memorial University, Lucknow itself. So basically the topic of today's presentation is digital disruption in life insurance services. Is the bubble for real? So basically we all know what life insurance is. Life insurance is a contract between you and the insurance company, famously known as the life insured, and you pay a sum of premium and you get a certain benefit if in any of the eventuality, which is known as sum assured or the death benefit. So basically life insurance is also considered as a service industry, and it is a well-equipped and revolutionized service industry for which actually contributes approximately 7% in the country's GDP, and it is growing at a pace of 15 to 20% annually. Insurance as a service industry was basically a tailor-made solution, and it is now becoming a very generic in its nature, and now customized and personalized models are also being developed. So, if in case I have done some literature review, everybody has put in that actually consumer experience is the overall satisfaction, and distribution of aggressive, insurance was not as aggressive as today, and some issues like local implementation and the nationwide digitalization agenda might not be the issues of the local technology adoption, but rather as a country it is a very important factor for the Indian government also. Because if in case we talk about digital economy, cashless economy, so this is one of the very important aspect of Indian government and plus the corporates also. So digital literacy, somebody mentioned earlier that it is now slowly being adopted by villages and towns because of the disruption in the mobile technology, because we all use Jio now for an example. So now rickshawala is also using smartphone. So definitely this is one of the biggest example of the digital disruption. Blockchain we've already discussed. Mr. Dhruv Seth has already put in some light on the blockchain, what exactly in detail. So I'm not going into that. So basically digital revolution is that the process of converting the existing information available in paper to a specified digital format and maintaining all the records in the form of documents, money and many more in only digital mode. What exactly digital disruption is? New technology which completely replaces the existing technology. That is why it is known as disrupts, because it actually changes the way we function normally. So what are the technology disruptors in insurance industry? Mobile technology, wearable technology, behavioral finance, customer analytics, Internet of Things, chatbots, artificial intelligence, and blockchain. So we keep hearing these kind of terms these days. Everybody is like so using these terms. So basically, we are in a phase where we are going from traditional to digital. So these are some of the departments in a life insurance company which can be fully automated, like from lead generation to lead selection, from code sharing, from query resolution to submission, and it also will help in renewals, collecting claims and maturity, after sales service, and obviously providing information to their policy holders. So we can automate everything. Each and every department can be automated. Also, if we talk about the bubble, there's a lot of talk about cyber threats. We keep hearing in the newspapers like some ransom is asked against some data, that the data is hacked. In-house coordination is not there. It means like every department is using it for their own CRM. Like suppose sales department is using a different CRM, and the claims department is using a different CRM. So we have to have a in-house coordination, net neutrality. Though we are using Jio, but everybody is aware that 2 GB se hota kya hai per day. So changing, and it's very important, is changing the mindset. It is all about mindset only. Until and unless we go digital in our mindset, it is very difficult to implement at the ground level also. So the proposed solution, it's a very interesting data. So out of 140 billion population, internet users is 47%, and out of that WhatsApp user is 42%. You can see over the screen a YouTube user, Instagram user. So it's a huge population which is using the WhatsApp application. So what I propose, there should be a specific solution which is known as WhatsApp chatbots. So that can do wonders in customer service. They can be fully automated. Query resolution and handling can be in a very quick way. Then it is an end-to-end encrypted, so it is safe also, and it saves time also. So the conclusion is like the insurance is a very complex subject. If we talk about insurance, everybody will run away because they feel that insurance is a very complex understanding. The path of digital revolution and disruption in which we are walking is a long, long way. So actual implementation has to be done on the ground level. Once the bubble will fizzle out, we will step into a digitally secured India. Thank you so much. I'm open for any questions if anybody has.
I'm giving you only 5 minutes for each one. 5 minutes. Next.
Anyone else in the offline mode to present the paper here? Ranjana Joshi ji, can you start with your presentation? Anyone in the online mode whosoever like to present this paper, though we have like 45 papers for the technical session too, but physical mode पे भी कोई नहीं. Sai Singh, Vidushi Shrivastava. have Akshat Malhotra. He'll be talking about Indian housewives' unnoticed contribution to Indian economy.
Hello. Good morning, respected guests, teachers, and hello everyone. My name is Akshat Malhotra, and the topic which I am going to present is Indian housewives' unnoticed contribution to the Indian economy. In India, approximately 92% of females are involved in unpaid domestic work, which include cleaning, cooking, teaching their children, nursing, and they even act as a financial planner. But still, we do not give them that much of economic reward which they deserve. The major objective of my presentation is to make the society and people realize that their work is a work, and secondly, somehow they contribute to the economy either in the direct way or in the indirect way. If I come on my findings, according to the Supreme Court, in the month of January 2021, Supreme Court judge under the Justice Ramanna, he said that a work done by a housewife cannot be considered less to the work of a husband who is going to the office. Hence, the Supreme Court also agrees that yes, a work done by a housewife is also a work. Secondly, during the COVID, the Supreme Court also said that if we have a concept that housewives do not add to the household economy or they do not add to the economic development of the country, then this is also a major issue. We need to recognize that yes, their contribution is in the economy. Not only this, Oxfam, Oxford Committee for Female Relief, is an international organization which also believes that the unpaid work done by the housewives contribute 3.1% of the country's GDP. These data are enough to say that yes, the Indian housewives somehow contribute to the Indian economy. Now, how do the Indian housewives influence the economy? First, they are the largest consumer group in the society. They are the one who decide which type of product need to be purchased, what type of brand, by analyzing the utility and price. So slight shift in the taste and preferences of the housewives can influence the total demand of that commodity and can influence the economy. Secondly, during the demonetization concept, we have noticed that various females took out money from their kitchen utensils to exchange from the new currency. This shows that they have the habit of saving. Hence, their saving concept is also an important aspect that influences the economy. Third, which is an indirect way through which the housewives contribute, is the type of nourishment and the type of teaching they give. The type of nourishment and teaching they give to their children leads to growth and development in the near future of the economy. But the question that still remains unanswered, or that due to which the women or the household women do not get that economic value, is how to measure their work. In today's time, it is very important that we should measure the work, then only we can have the economic value. So there are three methods through which we can measure. First, the opportunity cost method. Second, the output-input cost method. And the third is the replacement cost method. These three methods can be adopted to measure the work done by the household wives, but according to few critics, these are still not appropriate. In the end, I just want like to conclude by making three conclusions. From my presentation, I wanted to say that it is important for us to recognize the work done by Indian housewives. Second, to give an economic or monetary value to the work done by them. And third, to develop and adapt new and more appropriate tool for measuring the work done by the Indian household females. It is very important in today's time, because during the COVID we were doing work from home, we were still having gaps or we were still having some holidays. But during the COVID, our household wives, especially our mothers, were not having any type of liberty, any type of holiday. They were working continuously. I just would like to ask you one thing. One day if our mother do not cook food or do not do our work, we pay outside and we buy food. That is the main value. This is the economic value of a household wife. With this, I end my presentation. Thank you.
Wonderful research done. The contribution of women in the society, and which is housewives basically, and which always goes unnoticed. Now moving towards the end of the session. So we have received 45 papers for this particular session. They have sent equivalent papers, but they are not here to present the papers. So I would like to conclude the session by conducting national anthem. All of you stand up.
जनगणमन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड़ उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जल वितरंगा तब शुभ नामे जागे तब शुभ आशीष मांगे गाए सब जय गाथा जनगण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे
भारत माता की
जय
वंदे
मातरम
वंदे
मातरम
Thank you all. Let's move for lunch and cultural events. Thank you.
वो देख सकते हैं मैम वीडियोस नहीं थे, फोटो मैं अपने ही कर और वहाँ पे ये तो रिकॉर्डिंग हो रही है
मैम इसको आप वापस प्ले बैक करके आप वीडियो निकाल सकते
इसमें
मैम उसमें यूट्यूब
पे मैम। हाँ वही मैं कह रही हूँ। हाँ क्लियर आ जाएगी। भरत अंशिका और दीक्षा तीनों लोग यूट्यूब का लिंक खोलो वाली नॉवल का और हर स्टेशन में क्या बोला 2 लाइन आपके लिखते
दोबारा